who was the big winner last night?
Well, I'm not sure there was one, in the sense that I don't think the race was shaken up. Trump didn't show up. He's still the front runner. DeSantis didn't lose, which was pretty important. He wasn't really the target of many attacks. Much of the attention was lavished on Vivek Ramaswamy, but I don't think it was positive attention, and I'm not sure he helped himself. And then the people who I thought substantively did really well, I don't think have a shot at the nomination. I thought Nikki Haley had a good night and Mike Pence had a good night, but I don't think they're going to make it. So it was an odd one, in the sense that it didn't actually change anything. In one sense, I think DeSantis probably came out of it best, because the attacks that he expected from Chris Christie did not come. They were aimed at Vivek. I mean, I agree with some of your substantive criticisms of DeSantis's performance, but he's still treading water, which is where he needs to be.
I think DeSantis only got attacked once. I think when the New York Times did a running tally of who got attacked the most, and DeSantis only got attacked one time. They were very, very focused on Vivek, which I think I would be delighted at if I were Vivek, right? It's like I'm the center of attention and there's going to be all this buzz about me tomorrow. There was the moment where Nikki Haley came at Vivek on foreign policy. And she's dismissed by some in the party as a, quote, neocon. You know, she's a little too pro-war. She's a little too pro-intervention. That's the criticism. Well, she didn't shy away from any of that. She basically took it to Vivek saying, you don't know what you're talking about. All of these sweeping policies that sound like panders to a certain portion of the Republican base. You don't know what you're doing. Here's a bit of that, SOT 5.
Nikki, I wish you well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
You know, I'm not on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon. And you know,
Boeing came off of it, but you've been pushing this lie. You've been pushing this lie all week, Nikki.
You want to go and defund Israel? You want to
okay, let me address that. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to address each of those right now. This is the false lies of a professional politician. There you have it.
Your watch, so the reality is, America less safe. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And you know what? The foreign policy experience that you all have.
So that everything she said, and you could hear it from some of the people in the audience who are allegedly, you know, the big donors of the Republican Party, would have gone over huge with any large Republican audience as recently as 6-7 years ago, right? The party is changing. It's changing. And there's a question there about how many Republicans are still on Team Haley when it comes to foreign policy, and how many are more on Team Vivek, which looks much more like the Trump foreign policy.
Yeah, I don't think that the party is quite where Vivek Ramaswamy thinks it is. And I think this is a problem that he has. I've written critically about him in the past, and I stand by it. He is the sort of person I've noticed who, while he's talking to a crowd, scans the room to see whether the message is working and then tweaks it in whatever direction he intuits. It's certainly true that the party is less interventionist than it was, although that's not a particularly high bar, given that what we're really talking about is opposition post hoc to what the United States did in Afghanistan and Iraq. But I think that the Republican voting base and also the broader public is quite open to argument and debate on this point, which is why Nikki Haley scored big on that. Part of it was the attack on Vivek, who doesn't know a great deal and was putting everyone down. Part of it was that Republicans still like the American hegemony. They like American military strength, and they are open to the United States taking a leading role in the world. Now, they don't want that to mean preemptive invasions of other countries, but there's a very big gap between reiterating the mistakes of Iraq and making cheap jokes at Nikki Haley's expense about sitting on the board of Raytheon or Boeing. It's simply not the case that when Donald Trump came into office, he turned himself into some sort of 1970s McGovernite or into Rand Paul. He, quite early on in his presidency, dropped however many missiles into Syria. I remember Van Jones famously said this was the night that Trump became president. He took out Soleimani. Trump's a Jacksonian, really. But Jacksonians are not opposed to all force. They're not opposed to asserting American interests. They just recognize that alliances are fluid, and they want limited and overwhelmingly emphatic enforcement of American interests. And so I understand why this term neocon gets thrown around. I mean, I'm not a neocon, so I don't have a brief for neocons. I just don't think it's a very useful frame. And I think Haley resonated there because she pointed that out.
National security experts are warning our aging power grid is more vulnerable than ever. January marked the third time a power station in North Carolina was damaged by gunfire recently. Authorities are now checking our grid for vulnerabilities. Imagine having a blackout lasting not days but weeks or months. Your life would be frozen in time right at the moment the power fails. That's why having your own solar power is more important than ever. Listen to this. With the Patriot Power Generator, you get a solar generator that does not install into your house because it's portable. You can take it with you, even use it inside, but it's powerful enough for your phones, your medical devices, even your fridge. And right now, you can go to 4patriots.com and use the code MK to get 10% off your first purchase on anything in the store, including the Patriot Power Generator. You will also get their famous guarantee for an entire year after your order, plus free shipping on orders over $97. And a portion of every sale is donated to charities that support our veterans and their families. Just go to 4patriots.com and use code MK to get 10% off your order. 4patriots.com, use code MK to get yours today. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.